Jackson had seen many things in his 5 years as a field mechanic for the Terran Expeditionary Forces, but nothing quite prepared him for the sight of Queen Zaritha's battle armor. The Kelvari warrior stood nearly 8 feet tall, her chitinous exoskeleton gleaming purple-black under the hangar lights, and the ceremonial armor plates covering her thorax were cracked clean through. "Your Majesty," Jackson said, keeping his voice steady as he circled her with his diagnostic scanner. "You took a plasma cannon hit at point-blank range. How are you even standing?" Zaritha's mandibles clicked, and what he'd learned was amusement. "Your concern is noted, human. But the armor requires repair, not my physiology. The Confederation ceremony is in 3 cycles." Jackson sighed. The Kelvari were the Confederation's most formidable warriors, 7-foot-tall mantis-like beings who'd held off the destroyer fleets for 2 decades before humanity even reached the stars. Their queen personally leading diplomatic missions was both an honor and a headache for support staff. "I'll need to remove the chest plate entirely," he said, setting down his tools. "The microfractures have compromised the whole structure. I'll have to rebuild it from scratch." "Proceed." Jackson climbed the service ladder and began working on the release mechanisms. The Kelvari armor was a masterwork. Bonded ceramic composites interwoven with their own shed carapace material, creating something that was part technology, part biology. His hands moved carefully over the latches, feeling for the pressure points. "You're touching too softly," Zaritha said suddenly. Jackson froze. "Excuse me, Your Majesty? The release mechanisms, they require firm pressure. Your species' excessive caution is inefficient." He felt his face flush. Here he was trying to be respectful while working on an alien queen's armor, which was essentially still attached to her body, and she was critiquing his technique. "With respect, Your Majesty, I've repaired Kelvari armor before. These mechanisms are delicate." "Delicate?" Her compound eyes fixed on him. "That armor held against a plasma cannon. It is not delicate. You are." Something in Jackson snapped. 5 years of tiptoeing around alien dignitaries, of endless protocol briefings, of treating every species like they were made of glass because command didn't want an incident. He pressed the release mechanism hard. It clicked satisfyingly. Then the next one. And the next. "There," he said, perhaps more forcefully than necessary. "How's that for not delicate?" Zaritha's mandibles spread wide, the Kelvari equivalent of a smile. "Better. Continue." Over the next hour, Jackson worked with increasing confidence. He stopped second-guessing every movement, stopped treating the queen like a ceremonial statue. When a connector wouldn't budge, he used proper leverage. When a seal needed reseating, he applied the necessary force. "Your file says you designed the retrofit system for human Kelvari hybrid vessels," Zaritha said as he worked. "Yes, Your Majesty. The Valiant-class carriers integrated our shield harmonics with your armor plating. The Kelvari engineering cast studied your designs. They were impressed." Jackson paused. "They were. You did not make our technology compatible with yours. You made something new, something neither species could have achieved alone." She tilted her head. "Why do you waste such talent on repair work?" He climbed down, carrying the damaged chest plate to his workbench. "Because someone has to keep the warriors in the fight, Your Majesty. Engineering new ships is great, but if the armor on the Queen's back fails during a diplomatic mission, that's a galactic incident." Zaritha watched as he began fabricating a replacement plate, his hands moving with practiced precision over the molecular forge. "You understand that my armor is also my carapace, yes? That you are essentially rebuilding part of my body?" Jackson's hand stilled. I suppose I never thought of it that way. Yet you show no fear, no disgust. You simply do what must be done." Her tone shifted, becoming less formal. "Do you know why the Kelvari requested human mechanics for the Royal Guard? Better technology? No. Because when the destroyer fleets came and we called for aid, humanity sent ships that were not finished. Sent soldiers with weapons that were still prototypes. Sent engineers who worked on our vessels while they were still in combat." She moved closer to the workbench. "Your species does not wait for perfection. You see what needs doing, and you do it." Jackson carefully seated the new plate into the bonding matrix. "We call it good enough for government work," he said with a slight smile. "And we call it courage." 3 hours later, the armor was complete. Jackson had reinforced the entire thorax assembly. upgraded the energy distribution network, and even added a few improvements to the servo systems. Zaretha examined herself in the hangar's full-length mirror. Exceptional work. The armor moves better than before the damage. Well, I figured while I was in there. Jackson rubbed the back of his neck. I noticed your left shoulder actuator was running hot. Replaced it. And the hip joints were worn, probably from all that ceremonial standing. Upgraded those too. Without being asked? That's the thing about us humans, Your Majesty. We're terrible at following just the basic instructions. We always think we can make things a little bit better. Zaretha turned to face him fully. Tell me, Jackson of Earth, would you be interested in a position with the Kelvari Royal Engineering Corps? We could use someone who is not afraid to touch things firmly. Jackson blinked. You're offering me a job? The Confederation grows stronger when species share their gifts. Yours is seeing what needs fixing and having the courage to fix it, whether it is armor, ships, or the space between species. Her mandibles clicked again. Besides, you are the only human who has told me I was wrong in the past 5 years. That alone makes you invaluable. Jackson looked at his workshop, at the standard-issue tools and the routine repair schedule. Then he looked at the Queen, at the perfectly restored armor that was both technology and life. When do I start, Your Majesty? Immediately. But first, stop calling me Your Majesty. If you are to rebuild the bodies of warriors, we must trust each other. Use my name, Jackson grinned. Humanity had reached the stars by being too stubborn to know when something was impossible. It seemed the galaxy was finally starting to appreciate that. All right then, Zaretha. Let's go make something new.